Brainerd's own Eric Pohlkamp had a standout career for the Warrior Boys hockey team from 2018 to 2021. He's now excelling on the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders and is tied for the most points scored by a defenseman in the USHL. Now, last week was what you'd call a whirlwind for Pohlkamp. He went from just hanging out on a Monday night playing some video games to just 6 days later winning a World Junior Championship for Team USA. How did he get from point A to point B? Well, not surprisingly, he needed some help, and it came courtesy of none other than his own dad. Life came at Eric Pohlkamp.
It was unbelievable playing that game.
Fast last week. On Monday after a long practice, Pohlkamp got a late call from his head coach, Mark Carlson.
He called me and said 2D got hurt on the USA team and they need another D. So he said, if you want to go, it's a great opportunity to go. So then I said, absolutely, obviously.
That USA team that came calling was the one competing at the World Junior A Challenge in Cornwall, Ontario. The U.S. was hoping to have Pohlkamp in Cornwall for their game the next day against Sweden. Only there was just one problem.
He goes, I need my passport. And the whole passport is sitting here in Baxter. And he can't obviously get into Canada without it. So what do you do?
Well, what Joe did was leave Baxter, Minnesota at 10:30 at night, drive 500 miles to Cedar Rapids, Iowa to drop off Eric's passport at 5 a.m. the next morning.
Man, you sacrificed some sleep, huh?
Yes. Well, and the other side of it is the guy thought about flying him out of Minneapolis. That's a 4-hour drive from Cedar Rapids. So I decided that he might as well go to bed and get some sleep. And then I would drive through the night, the 6-hour trip, so he could get 4 hours of extra sleep. So he was going to be prepared or ready to play the next night.
The transfer of the passport from Joe to Eric went as planned. But once Eric landed in Montreal, not quite everything went as planned.
He gets there and he can't find his sticks. And they only speak French. So he had to track those sticks down by going to customs.
Eventually, Eric made it to Cornwall on Tuesday night as Team USA was warming up against Sweden. 3 days later in USA's game against Latvia is when this story really got good.
My wife and I, we sat and watched the games and you know, we just said, wouldn't it be neat if he gets an assist in the tournament? And then all of a sudden he scores. And then he scores again.
Pohlkamp's got 2.
Eric scored 3 goals.
Pohlkamp, throw the hats. There it is.
Then the next day, 2 more.
Another one for Pohlkamp.
I mean, getting goals in the power play, that's obviously kind of my specialty. Playing with really good players helps a lot, obviously.
Penalty about to expire. Pohlkamp scores!
The U.S. went on to win the gold medal with a 5-2 win over Canada East on Sunday. Eric was named to the All-Tournament All-Star team. The whirlwind of a week was one Eric and Joe will never forget.
Playing Canada and USA, I mean, that's Canada's sport is hockey. In Canada, beating them, it didn't really feel real playing the gold medal game. It was unbelievable.
He owes you one, I guess you could say.
Well, the guy from USA Hockey said, you're the #1 star for making that trip down there. But, you know, the whole thing is when you say you can play for Team USA, you do what you got to do, right?
The things they do for your kids. Pohlkamp will be playing for Bemidji State men's hockey next year.
Great story. Great story, Chaz.
Lakeland News is member-supported content. Please consider supporting Lakeland News today.